In this video, we'll explain how you need to perform the project with a step-by-step example. We will create the project report for part 1 of the design for the course catalog example. The four main steps in creating your projects are: study the received dataset, create the title page, and create the design sections for the first two datasets. The first step of the project is to identify your randomly generated dataset and to study them. Watch the video and pause any time you need to take a more careful look at the data. Be sure you save the address of the video presenting your dataset, either as a bookmark or save the link in a document. If you did not watch the dataset for this tutorial, stop this video and watch the dataset presentation first. The title page must have the following content and design. In the left upper corner, you must include the semester, summer, spring, or fall, the year, 2020-21, the course ID, IT 214 or IT 194, and the section, 1, 2, DL1. For instance, summer 2020 IT 194 A02 is a good name for the header. In the right upper corner, you must write your full name. For instance, Mihai Boy. In the top middle of the page, include a title for the database, reflecting the dataset received. For instance, US News Card Rankings or GMU Catalog. Under it, in a box, include a short paragraph describing the database scope, what it contains, how it is used. A very brief example might be: the database will keep information about courses, programs, and the academic units offering them. The database will be used to post query based on various criteria. However, you must write a more detailed scope. At the bottom of the page, include a relevant picture for your project with a corresponding credit or citation. For each dataset, like the one presented, you must include a section on a new page with the following structure. It may require more than one page for some datasets. Keep the header on all pages. Add a page number at the bottom right of the page. The section heading will start with the dataset number and the dataset followed by a suggestive name you give for the first dataset received. Maybe the same as the entity name. For our example, a good name is programs. At the beginning of this section, you start with a requirement specification. Be sure you include a paragraph for each new entity that you want to add to your design. In our case, the data will be represented using a single entity, so we just add one entity specification. The database will contain a list with the academic programs. For each program, we keep the name, for instance, dance, and an abbreviation, for instance, DANC. After the requirement specification, you add a new subsection for each entity. The subsection title starts with entity, followed by the colon and the name of the entity, in capitals following conventions. In our case, entity program. The selected primary key is the attribute code. It is single value, simple attribute that is also required and has unique values. The only potential problem is that the attribute has a semantic meaning for the values, being an abbreviation of the program. However, the abbreviation will not change in the lifetime of the database, as it might be used. Next, you create the table with all the attributes, specifying their characteristics. In the end of the section, extract from the dataset all the values for all represented attributes. Our dataset does not represent all the programs in the GMU catalog, but only a few selected ones. You must not add new programs or ignore or replace any of the specified ones. Then create using MySQL Workbench the ER diagram. Sign it, write your name on the diagram as in the example, and copy paste an image of it in your project. The diagram may look different depending on the settings you have, but must show all the information. Watch the MySQL Workbench tutorial if you need help to draw the diagram. The second dataset is presented in the following two slides, and it shows various courses offered at George Mason University. Here, we have a few more courses described. At the beginning of the section, you start with a requirement specification. Be sure you include a paragraph for each new entity that you want to add to your design. In our case, the data will be represented using a single new entity, so we just add one specific specification. The database will contain a list with the courses offered by academic programs. For each course, we keep the academic program, for instance IT, the course number, for instance 214, the name, database fundamentals, the number of credits free, and a short description. Covers fundamentals of relational database management and so on. After the entities, you include specifications, business rules for the relationships. In our case, one relationship is identified between the programs and courses. The standard specification is a program offers many courses, a course is offered by one program. Next subsections will describe the new entity, named course. The entity has a composite primary key, formed by the program code, IT, and the course number, for instance 194. Both attributes are required and the composite key is unique. Additional attributes for a course are name, credit, and description. All the attributes are single value, simple, and will be represented as such. Moreover, they are required and they may have duplicated values. At the end of the section, you must specify the foreign keys, if any. In our case, we have program code as a foreign key referencing the primary key of program entity named code. Because of the dataset does not clearly show duplicated values for the name and description, one may also mark them as unique. Next, you must create the table with all the entity instances included in your dataset. We have 8 entity instances. Next subsection is describing the relationship program offers course. The relationship is a one-to-many relationship because a program offers many courses. A course is offered by a single program. The relationship is strong because the primary key of the child entity course contains the primary key of the parent entity program. The program participation in the relationship is mandatory because the course will always have a program specified. The course participation in the relationship is mandatory because the program will always offer at least one course. However, in our case, we have programs with no courses offered. Therefore, we need to consider course as having optional participation. At the end of the section, include the subsection with the ER diagram. Be sure the diagram is signed before you copy the screenshot. This concludes the design document. Be sure you post both the PDF file generated with your document and the file with your ER model, MWB extension.